The Premium Parasitism Cycle. How to sell the same kibble with a higher price tag. Slogan: our streaming is your premium escape to the void. Buy page peace. Another crawling specimen on my digital vivisection table. Let's dissect this human misery to ensure the return on investment.
The anatomy of irrelevance, the necropsy of the client's ego. The glorious return of cable TV is our masterpiece of exploitation, an even more cynical reincarnation, only worse and in eternal looping. That streaming revolution? A pathetic joke that only digital pioneers and the moneyed rabble pretending to be minimalists bought. What we have here, dear colleagues, is not a product, but a case study of human stupidity coated in vanity. The true genius of the business is making the consumer pay more to return to the starting point, the fragmented, expensive subscription, but making them feel like an enlightened intellectual for having made the choice to leave the big cage for 10 smaller ones. We are not selling convenience. We are selling the illusion that their choice is superior to that of the masses. This is the foundation of our operation, the desperate need of the modern individual to feel slightly smarter than their neighbor. Our target audience is the Homo Consumptus, the creature that mistakes the possession of a subscription for the consumption of culture. We are not selling entertainment. We are selling a temporary cure for the pain of social irrelevance. This individual's real fear is not the shampoo commercial, but being caught in a conversation without having watched the latest mediocre trending series. Their pain is the dread of irrelevance, FOMO, fear of missing out, transformed into a cancer of the soul. They don't consume content. They ingest the infinite volume of audiovisual air flakes to try and disguise the pathetic vastness of their inner lives. It is a shameful indulgence that we ensure they can afford. And it is precisely upon this putrid base that we erect our cathedral of exploitation. It is not a content library, but an ingenious architecture of tiers of access, each one a brick of segmented frustration. What was once a single, fat, shameful invoice has transformed into a horde of thin, incessant invoices, each one holding a vital crumb of entertainment that the Homo Consumptus needs to breathe socially. This segmentation is not accidental. It is a triumph of friction marketing, where we force the client to climb an increasingly high tower, paying the tithe at each new floor, just to access the bread and circuses that, ironically, they demanded freely and decentrally. The sky? It's only the spending limit of their credit card. The tactic of reintroducing advertising at the basic level is of a vile beauty. It's not about ad revenue, it's about monetizing impatience. The premium client is not paying to see the movie. They are paying the social disinfection fee, the cost of not being mixed with the repugnant masses who watch commercials for fast food and orthopedic mattresses. We are selling a license to despise, the elitist right to say, I am too busy or too important to have my attention interrupted by plebeian. Advertising
is the whip we use to lead the lamb back into the premium fold, and they are grateful for the chance to pay to escape. It's not just a transaction, it's a ritual of social purification. By getting rid of ads, the client doesn't just buy silence, they buy certification that their life is worth more. They internalize the contempt we foster and see the cost of premium as the price of their own dignity, a mediocrity exit fee. This cowardly acceptance is the final seal of approval of our architecture. They have become our inspectors, judging those who remain in the tier of shame, and thus ensuring the cycle repeats, more expensive and more empty.
Exploitation engineering, the profit of ripped focus.
Our exploitation engineering operations began at the Tower of Boredom, a skyscraper of smoked glass in the heart of Neo-Alexandria, the metropolis of high-rises and antidepressants, the ideal setting for the launch of the tier of shame. The plan was of a cruel simplicity. First, flood the market with audiovisual garbage to ensure paralysis by choice. The oversupply is not a benefit. It is our most refined weapon of retention. It is an oppression mechanism that ensures the client feels guilty for every minute they are not enjoying the subscription. The complexity of our catalog is our biggest salesperson because we sell the solution, premium, of course, to the problem that we benevolently created. This deliberate saturation is called content shock internally, a volume so overwhelming of generic series and films that the client feels permanently disadvantaged, never reaching the bottom of our library. We produce 99.9% of airflame, content fluff, through strategic synthesis of intellectual properties, so that the production cost is negligible. This volume functions as a guilt anchor. The client is not paying for what they see, but for the latent potential of the 0.1% blockbuster hidden in there. They feel obligated to keep paying, otherwise they will lose access to this mountain of nothing that they invested months trying to conquer. It is the monetization of mental laziness and the illusion that somewhere in that garbage they will find the pearl that will validate their subscription and their mediocre existence. We employed Dr. Venus Discount, an immediate satisfaction coach, and, in reality, an algorithm puppet with millions of followers on the optimized connection ecosystem. Her mission? To mock basic plan users. She labeled them with that injectable plastic voice as the butter beggars, individuals whose time is worth so little that even interruptions are welcome. We use social envy as a lever. The saver stereotype is reconfigured to the social parasite who couldn't even finance their own boredom. Our content fluff analysts at the Tower of Boredom worked tirelessly to ensure that 99.9% of the catalog was just quality background noise, an oppressive volume of identical reality shows about weddings and police dramas. Think of gems like The 100-Day Wedding to Pay Off Debts, or The Eternal Police Investigation Replicant Suburb.
These are interchangeable products, created on an assembly line to be consumed in a semi-comatose state. The goal is that the pain of searching outweighs the value of the entertainment. We sell premium as the master key to non-search, the tactical relief from the tyranny of choice within our enclosure. The client doesn't want the movie, they want the illusion of having the catalogue under their domain, a delusion of control over the industrial mediocrity we serve. But the true malice is that the tyranny only migrates. By guaranteeing internal peace, we force them into the meta-tyranny of the multiple invoice. Crucial sporting events and exclusive cinema releases are strategically fragmented across platforms, ensuring the individual pays 5 times more than they did for cable. Thus, they exchange the pain of choosing a series for the obligation of maintaining multiple invoices. The quality must be just sufficient to retain the retina and abundant enough to ensure addiction.
Using aggressive, paid advertising on the optimized connection ecosystem, we activate the anxiety trigger in 3-second loops with the slogan, "Your neighbor has already paid. They are watching. You are waiting for the popular car ad." A/B tests showed that the mention of neighbor and popular car generates a peak of aversion and consequently a 14% conversion to the ad-free plan. This is proof that cowardice is the best copywriting. Increasing the price to avoid advertising is not a cost. It is a social vaccine against the perception of poverty, administered directly to the ego. The masterstroke, however, was the creation of the aggregators of aggregators, the final stage of financial domestication and the height of impotence. After imposing the meta-tyranny of the multiple invoice on them, we realized that the pain of management became more acute than the pain of paying. The consumer, already lobotomized by choice anxiety and crushed by the weight of the 5 essential invoices, gives up. They are so mentally exhausted by their own life and our friction architecture that they willingly surrender their wallet and their meager willpower to us. They pay, with a pathetic smile of relief, the exhaustion fee, an extra amount so that we can perform the simplest task in the world, consolidate the adhesion tribute. We did not solve the cost problem. We only monetized cognitive debility, selling the mental piece of a single invoice, which is, of course, even larger. This is the ironclad final price of total surrender to our system of exploitation, an implicit and expensive recognition that the consumer has neither the time, the mental capacity, nor the dignity to manage their own leisure. They become the perfect passive asset, a river of predictable income that pays to be managed. They cried out for freedom and rejected the cable. We gave them a dozen smaller cages and the chance to pay double so that one of them had an invisible padlock. This is the essence of our triumph, the transformation of the search for autonomy into a premium slavery. The Homo Consumptus does not long for freedom. They are content to pay an exorbitant price for a quieter cell, for a fleeting sense of distinction in their digital prison. They drown in garbage, but they do so with the privilege of not being disturbed. What you are witnessing is the masterful success of our passive income transfer system. Every subscription, every ad upgrade, every adhesion tribute paid so that we consolidate the financial flow is a constant tributary of capital migrating from the bank accounts of millions of exhausted individuals to our coffers. Their fear of missing the conversation at the pub, their cowardice in the face of the popular car commercial, and their mental laziness to press the cancel button, all this turns into fuel for our private jets and for our infinity pools. The real irony is that the emptier and more purposeless their lives are, the more they consume our digital rubble, and the fatter we get. We don't sell entertainment, we sell the burden of their own existence relieved by vanity. The final tragedy is acceptance. The client begged us for this leash and pays us religiously to tighten it a little more. We are not just selling products or services, we are selling the very illusion of dignity. The cycle is vicious, self-sustaining, and foolproof. It is the highest profit margin of all. They never learn. And that is why, my dear merchants on demand, we will never run out of money.